I want to share something that I know that I feel like will help a lot of people. And I don't want to keep it inside anymore because I'm not trying to keep any secrets inside. We have dark secrets that we keep inside that eats us up inside, keep it in a secret, okay? And then we have things that's not necessarily dark, but it's a secret that we are keeping inside for whatever personal reasons or whatever reasons we come up with. And these secrets could be things that knowledge that could help people and give people understanding and clarity and inspire people and help people. And me sharing my dark secrets was a way of helping people because it was a way of helping myself, but also I wasn't just doing it for myself just so I can not have to carry that dark secret inside anymore and let it eat me up inside. But also I wanted to share it because I wanted to inspire other people to be able to share their dark secrets and to be able to face their darkness and with the dark secrets that they're keeping inside and learn how to handle their dark secrets. And so it was a way for me to help people, but I have this other thing that I feel like will help people in a different way. Because yes, I think relieving ourselves and being open about our dark secrets helps us not hide who we are anymore, but also helps us be more courageous and be more vulnerable, helps us inspire people. But I want to share something that it's probably like, it is considered light knowledge, okay? And it's not dark knowledge, right? And I'm not really trying to get into dark knowledge anymore, the dark secrets, that's one thing. But I like to explore colors, and there's dark colors and there's light colors, and I can get into that too. I can get into light and darkness, but there are colors that I personally been trying to get into this for a while now, but I want to share the personality traits that I've assigned to each color, because I think, I don't want to keep it inside anymore, and I want to be more open and be an open book. But I also think that sharing what I think of these colors and what I think of these personality traits or character traits or personality attributes, whatever you want to call them, colors of personality, I think sharing what I think of colors and personality assigned to each color will help a lot more people be more creative, help other people understand imagination, curiosity, vulnerability, playfulness, peacefulness, painfulness, confusion, like I said, creativity and survival, and all of these different personality states or traits. Okay, I feel like it will help more people understand their mind and themselves, but I also feel like it will help people express themselves and help people be more of themselves. And for example, like if you have a favorite color beforehand and you want to understand why that's your favorite color, and then me telling you what I think about that color and what personality traits and attributes I gave into that color, and wondering if that's still your favorite color after I told you what personality I've assigned to that color. And with you knowing what all the personalities I've assigned to each color, and then you choosing a new favorite color based off of this new knowledge and based off of what personality you find that you like the most that matches that color. And I'll just go ahead and talk about it. I've got each color with a pair, and each color that has its own personality trait. Now these isn't all the colors that's in the color book, okay? But these are all the colors that I feel like I'm resonating with the most. And I'll start with white and black. Now with white, I have as the color of creativity. And black, I have the color as destruction, and I have them as a pair. White with black, black with white, creativity with destruction, and destruction with creativity. Now, how I've gotten to this conclusion or realization that white goes with black, and white is the color of creativity, and black is the color of destruction. Because when I look out into outer space, and I look at all the stars, the white stars, and I look at all the black holes that, they say that, the white stars of light, and then they say black holes destroy white light, and then they say the white stars, created the planets, and that we come from stars, and, they have this whole story of, the universe and the Big Bang, and how there was an explosion of white light, and it created, all that stuff. If you want to go with what scientists say, that's their story, right? But when you look out into the universe and you see that darkness or blackness or black holes, and you see that they destroy light, and then you see how stars can create nebulas, and can create things with white light. It's easy to associate, especially if you read the Bible, and God said let there be light, and he separated the light from the darkness, and he saw that the light was good. And the Bible talks about light and darkness. And when I look out into the universe, when I look into the Bible, and then when I also look at a blank white piece of paper, when you have a blank white piece of paper with no black ink on it, it has the creative potential to be anything. And then when you take black ink and then you apply it to that paper, you destroy the white creative potential of that paper, and you tainted it or painted it with black ink, and you turn it into something else that is not a blank white piece of paper. So you destroyed the creative potential to be anything by using black ink and painting it with black ink. And so, but I think that we need a balance of creativity and destruction, and a balance of white and black. And yeah, I can go into the yin yang and the balance of all that, but I feel like we kind of understand that, and I could probably go into that in another video. But I kind of want to go over each color and kind of just give a general overview of what I think. And so that's what I'll say for white and black. And then I have red and blue for my next pair. And I feel like this was the second pair that I made, but I feel like it's the most second obvious pair, second to white and black. And so for red and blue, I have red as the color of pain, and I have blue as the color of peace. Now I came to this conclusion because of red fire. I came to this conclusion of like red fire, when you touch red fire, you feel pain. There could be different colors of pain, but fire's most natural color is red. And blue, I would say, red fire, when you touch fire, you feel pain. You get red on your hand and you feel pain. That's how pain can be associated with redness. And with blue, I would say, when you go by to, sit by a lake and you see the blue sky reflecting on the water, it can bring you a feeling of peace and relaxation and calmness. And so I said blue as the color of peace. Also, I came to the realization of blue being the color of peace and red being the color of pain because of our blood. Because they say that when our blood is inside of our body, safe and sound and at peace, then blue blood can be the color of peace. When blood is blue, it's at peace. And then when we are bleeding and our blood reacts to the air, it turns red. And we feel pain when we bleed, usually. But that redness shows blood that is no longer safe in our body, no longer at peace in our body. And so now you have this transition of blue blood being at peace turning into red, bleeding red, because it goes from peace to pain. And so yeah, so if blood turns red, it's usually painful, and if blood is blue, it's usually peaceful. So I kind of like to think about it like that. And so, blue as the color of the blue sky reflecting on the water, and then red as the color of being burned by touching a fire, that being painful. And so that's how I kind of separated red as pain and blue as peace. And now I want to go into purple and green. And so green, I would say it's in the middle of the rainbow, in between red and blue on the rainbow. And I would say it's the most visible color, the most common color to our eye, because it's the color of nature, it's the color of money, it's the color of weed, it's the color of growth, it's the color of survival. I've associated the color green with the color of survival. And with purple, I feel like the opposite of green would be purple. And I feel like green and blue, I feel like green pairs with purple the most, because I think of TV characters like the Incredible Hulk, the Green Goblin, I think of Barney, and I think of Ferb from Phineas and Ferb, and I think of the purple green Ninja Turtle. I think of all these characters and how they are, not each of them play on survival and imagination, but like Ferb and the purple green Ninja Turtle, I feel like they are, decent examples of, using our survival skills to bring our imagination to life. And so, Ferb and, Ferb is, green hair and he's got a purple suit, but you have the purple Ninja Turtle, which is like a purple mask and a green body. And so, with these two characters, they like to be in their imagination, they like to be smart, and they are geniuses. And they create things and work on things with like technology and, alien technology, also like, blueprints and, just creating things and, using their imagination. And so, I think of these two characters, but, in terms of purple and understanding why purple is the color of imagination, I think of the poem Roses Are Red and Violets Are Blue. And I think that when you think of that poem, Roses Are Red and Violets Are Blue, and you think of a rainbow and you think of the colors in a rainbow, and I already said green is in the middle, but one end of the rainbow you have red, and the other end of the rainbow you have violet. And violet, a lot of people confuse whether violet is blue or purple, but then you think of that poem, roses are red, violets are blue, then you know that violets are blue. So the rainbow goes from one end to being red, and so on both ends of the rainbow you have red and blue. And you know that purple is not on the rainbow. And also that red and blue made up purple, because purple is not a real color. And when we see purple, we're actually seeing an equal amount of red and an equal amount of blue and an absence of green. So when you see an equal amount of green, when you see an absence of green, and you see an equal amount of red and an equal amount of blue, our brains create a color called purple, and we imagine it, because it's not a real color in the rainbow, and we're actually only seeing red and blue at the same time, an equal amount of it. And so I also think of Harold on the Purple Crayon, it was a kid who has a purple crayon. With anything that he draws, it comes to life, like an airplane, a dragon, Figment, the dragon of Figment, that there's a dragon, Disney's Figment of Imagination, he's a dragon, purple dragon, and I feel like that kind of goes with that. But Harold in a Purple Crayon, anything, that his imagination could come up with, like if he wants to draw a helicopter, if he wants to draw a dinosaur, if he wants to draw, a UFO, alien, or, whatever his imagination comes up with, anything that he draws with this purple crayon, it will come to life and it will, be alive. And so I would say that would be an example of bringing imagination to life, imagination to survival. And so that's why I paired purple with green. and imagination with survival. And so my next color pair is yellow and pink. And I came up with yellow as, or I associated yellow as the color of curiosity and pink as the color of vulnerability. Because, you know, when I think of yellow and pink, and I think of TV characters like SpongeBob and Patrick, and I think of the yellow Curious George, the man in the yellow hat, and then I think of the pink dog from Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think of like Follow the Yellow Brick Road. I think of, you know, don't think of the pink elephant. I think of, you know, pink lemonade. And the fact of, I've never seen a pink lemon. It's not real. But I mean, that could go into imagination, but I don't think there is a pink lemon. And so pink lemonade, you know, it could be a combination of yellow and pink. And so you have these examples for yellow and pink. But yeah, I would say yellow as the color of curiosity, and pink I would say is, I see it as the color of vulnerability. Because, you know, I think of, you know, going to school, you know, if you were a boy, if you went to school, you know, pink could be kind of feminine, kind of girly. But if you went to school with a pink shirt as a boy, they would say, you know, that took courage, you know, that was, takes a man being brave to be confident in pink. And I feel like that can be an example of pink being the color of vulnerability. But, you know, just think about, you know, when we choose our genders as a, you know, when we do a gender reveal party, you know, boy is usually associated with blue, and girl, you know, is usually associated with the color pink. And so, you know, that can be an example of, you know, pink being the color of vulnerability. But, yeah, that's what I will say for yellow and pink. My next color pair and my last color pair is going to be orange and gray. Now, orange and gray is hard to explain because, you know, I could say yellow and pink would be the color of Easter, and orange or gray could be the color of Halloween. And, you know, we could throw white with Easter and black with Halloween, but let's just stick with yellow and pink as the color of Easter, and then orange and gray as the color of Halloween. Because you have gray tombstones, you have gray ghosts, you have a gray werewolf, gray wolves, you have, you know, gray fog, you have, you know, for orange, you have orange pumpkin, orange candy cane, you have, you know, it could be orange sky, or it could be a gray sky, but yeah, you can have those for, you know, Halloween. But in terms of, you know, TV and seeing characters with the orange and gray pair, the only, you know, I mean, there's a few, but one that was really obvious for me was Garfield and Normal. You know, especially since I associated the color orange with the color play, because I think of the Orange Ninja Turtle, I think of Garfield, I think of, you know, Tigger from, you know, Winnie the Pooh. You know, I think of all these orange characters that are very playful. You know, Garfield and Normal is orange and gray, and that's kind of like a iconic TV pair for orange and gray, which is kind of like, you know, SpongeBob and Patrick of the version. It's like the SpongeBob and Patrick version of orange and gray, which is Garfield and Normal. And so I have that. And then I have orange and gray. You know, orange as playfulness and gray as confusion. And why I've put orange with playfulness and gray as confusion is because I feel like when we're confused, we can play. We play when we're confused, or we make fun of things that we don't understand. And I'll give an example. So I've associated orange with play, and I'll tell you why I did this, because I asked a mixed brown man what color he thinks goes with orange, and he told me black. And I thought, well, you know, I don't think that, you know, I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, well, I know orange doesn't go with black, because I feel like, you know, white goes with black, and that's an obvious pair. So, you know, orange can go with black, but I don't think that's the most obvious pair with orange. And, I said this out loud. I was like, well, I get that, because Orange is the new black TV show that came out. And he was like, yeah. And a black man came up and said, hey, what kind of AI question is that? And I was like, well, he's just confused. He's just making fun of me because he's confused. He's just playing. And I made the realization, oh, when I was asking a mixed brown man what color what color that he thinks goes with orange, he said black. And another black man came and he said, made fun of me, started playing because, he might have been confused. And that's how I associated playfulness with confusion. And then I realized something else after this, right? That orange and gray, when you mix them together, can make brown. Now I thought this is interesting because when white people and black people mix together, they usually make brown people. And I was like, well, orange and gray is my last color pair. And I see them as the colors of Halloween. I see orange as the color of playfulness and gray as the color of confusion. I thought that was interesting that when you mix orange and gray, you can make brown too. And so I was like, so that's interesting. But also the fact that I think mixed people might be confused. Some mixed brown people might be confused. And I say this because I feel like some mixed brown people want to associate more with their black side than their white side. Not all of them, I'm just saying some of them. And I feel like if you have a brown mixed person, that'd rather be black than white, more relatable to black people than white people, and then also see Jesus Christ as white, I feel like that could be a problem. Because if you're a brown mixed person and you say, I'd rather be black than white, and then you see Jesus as white, I feel like that might cause problems. And so it's not about me being racist. It's just about me trying to offer the best help I can. And so for the brown mixed people that see Jesus as white and want to be more relatable and closer to their black side, I just want to try to help with clarity, to clear some confusion. Because I personally, and I made a video talking about this, but I think Jesus is brown. And I don't think he was white. And so, yeah. And then another thing, I know a lot of people say, blonde hair, blue eye women are like the most beautiful women in the world. Me personally, I know it's all, beauty is subjective and it's all preferential, but when I look at the beauty of black women, I try to see beauty in all women. But when I see the beauty of black women, brown women, and white women, I think brown women are the most beautiful. Compared to black women and white women, I mean, just being honest. Now, I'm still into white women. I can still see beauty in black women. But in terms of me thinking, well, who are the most beautiful women? A brown woman who is mixed with white and black. I feel like it can be more beautiful than a black woman and a white woman. Now, that's just my opinion. But I think brown women that are both white and black, mixed with white and black, are more beautiful than beautiful blonde hair, blue eye women. Now that's just my opinion, and I still want to share that because I feel like there might be some brown mixed women that are confused, beautiful brown mixed women that might be confused, thinking that blonde hair, blue eye might be more beautiful than them. And I want to say there are some men that might think that, but there are men out there that think that brown women are more beautiful than blonde hair, blue eye, and I'm one of them. So, but yeah, I just wanted to share that.